Welcome to a weekly oracle reading for my Vibe Tribe. These are direct questions from my client subscribers who have messaged me during the week to channel these messages. Just take what resonates, but remember these are specific questions for my clients, but that does not mean that whoever's watching may not benefit from indirectly. So I'm going to go ahead and clear these cards, ground my energy so that I can not only drop cards, but also be able to know what it is that I'm to say while doing them. If you are not a part of my Vibe Tribe, I am going to drop a link at the bottom of this post. Make sure you do sign up so that you're ready for next week. Almost always there is follow-up questions on a reading, or maybe you just have a question, and so it is a nice place to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and start. The first question that I have is, can I trust my decision, and is my decision for the greater good? Okay, so I may. Okay, 2 cards fell. So I have a 3 of clubs and an 8 of diamonds in that order. So this is about, the energy that's coming through is you need to take action on what resonates for you, what your truth is. The decision for your greater good is going to require actual alignment, not just decide. So you can't just decide for an action. You actually have to, you can't just have a decision. You actually have to take action on it. So even if you come to the right decision, if you're not taking action on it, it's as if you never made the decision at all. So piss on the pot or get off, I guess, is what this is coming through. It does show me that you are going to be financially stable, that you don't have to worry about manifesting stability. Know that you are in alignment for money and the things that you need to be able to afford to take action on that decision. So hopefully that helps. Okay, the next one that I have is, the question goes, what is preventing me from getting more in touch with my intuition? So what is preventing me from getting more in touch with my intuition? So for this subscriber, oh, it came right out. Okay, so we are talking about being rock solid in your own inner peace. This is also about having peace in relationships and in collaboration, to keep your peace. This is literally telling me that without rock solid peace, you can't get intuition because you're not grounded enough to get it. So then it moves into an Ace of Hearts, which means we need to have a new way of doing things, not just a habit of doing things, but it's not about changing the new way of doing things. It's about loving the new way that you do it. Like, you have to love keeping your peace at such a high level that you're never prevented from being in touch with your intuition, because it would be weird for you not to maintain your peace to be able to have intuition, if that makes sense. The other thing is we have the Queen of Spades here, and the Queen energy here always makes me think of being in alignment. Queen energy receives, doesn't chase. So it's almost as if your thought processes or your ability to trust your intuition, because Spades is in the shadow of like the way that you think or believe you're supposed to receive intuition, might be in the shadow. So even if you are in touch with your intuition, you're not in touch with the ability to trust it, is what's really kind of coming through. And learning how to trust your intuition is something that you have to cultivate over time. But the only way you're going to learn to trust your intuition is to start to follow it. I mean, when I started doing readings, especially when I was reading people that passed away or loved ones, I can say some weird things that don't make sense to me, but resonates for someone. So, for example, when read someone there asked me, if you really can read people, can you ring through my grandma? And I said, well, are you ready for what grandma has to say? It's not whether or not can I pull grandma through. So she said, yes, I'll be ready to pull her through. And so the first thing that came to my mind was 4-leaf clovers. This was just last night even. 4-leaf clovers came to my mind, and I heard the word lucky. So I said, I don't know if she's lucky to have you, if you're her lucky girl, but it's not just about 4-leaf clovers. She wants to talk about luck and lucky. And it was very beautiful because what I did not know is that this grandmother was actually born on St. Patrick's Day. And so there was no way I could have known that, but that was just a beautiful sign and symbol. But see, that's about saying what comes to your heart and mind, even if it doesn't make sense, even if you don't trust it. But it was the very thing that I needed to say. And a lot of times when you learn to trust your intuition, you're learning after the fact. And that's what intuition is. It's either knowing or having intuition that it is true. And so you're either knowing or you're having intuition. And I'll tell you what, if you know something, you don't need intuition. But when you don't know something and you're trying to understand something, that's where intuition kicks in. But if you already knew the answer, you would need to have intuition. Does that make sense? Intuition comes through after there's no solution and or answer that's coming through. And then sometimes the universe kind of throws you a bone and gives you the answer anyway, which is intuition without reason or reasoning. So hopefully that helps. Okay, the next one that I have is, with so many irons in the fire, what should I be focusing on first? Okay, so this is someone who has a lot of projects going or a lot of things going on that they wants to move forward. And so it looks like wanting to be able to do it properly. So let's have a look at that. What should I be focusing on first? That's a good question to have, because you should know that the order of the way that you do things can sometimes make or break stuff, especially in Tetris or packing your luggage. There is an order. It's kind of good to not only know what to do, but to know what to focus on first. So just waiting for these to fall. There's no rush. Maybe the cards don't know either. Well, the first thing that the energy that I'm getting while I'm waiting for these cards to fall is for me to ask you, what is it that you want the most? Because what you want the most should be the thing that you focus on first. Because in life, there's only so much time. So if you only had one choice, like it's telling me with so many irons in the fire, I guess the guys are there saying, why do you have so many irons in the fire? Why are they all going at the same time? Like, why? It's almost like you have a pot on the stove, you have something on a burner over here, you have something on the outside grill. It's almost as if to say, you literally can't focus on anything because you have so many irons in the fire. So the question is, why do you feel that they all have equal level of importance? It's almost as if to say, put them in order, but that doesn't mean that we put them all in at the same time. And I want to emphasize the fact that I don't have to drop a card to get you an answer. I am channeling an answer. So with a card or with my intuition or whatnot, okay? However, after sharing that information with you, we have a Jack of Clubs. This is new energy of learning to take action, but it's learning about what actions you should take. And the guidance I want to tell you is stop having so many irons in the fire. That's what you need to focus on. You need to focus on not having so much on your plate. Because how can you focus on anything when you have everything in the fire? So focus on not over juggling so that you can have greater depth in the very thing that you want to focus on. It's like being spread too thin means you can't focus on anything. So hopefully that helps. Will my year turn around and be better? So it's kind of a loaded question, because when people talk about their year, are we talking about their career or their personal life? So I feel to pull for both. That way I hit it. Because sometimes your personal life and your career are interlaced, especially if like you work at home or you partially work at home. It could be both. So let's first say, will my year turn around and be better? Let's talk about work. Let's talk about work first, if I can. Okay, good. Yes, it looks like with the Two of Diamonds, this particular energy coming through is about a lot of collaboration. It's almost like it has to be rock solid collaboration, where you have, it's coming through like everybody has to have a very defined role. Everybody has to know what their part is, because if not, and we're not working like a team, people can be confused as to who's the boss and who's the employee. Especially if you are working on a project together that doesn't necessarily have you're this role and I'm that role. It looks like these roles have to be defined to move forward. Otherwise, where you should have stability, you're not going to have peace, because there's different people that think that they're in charge. And sometimes when you're on a team, one role is not more important than the other, but everybody has to be in their role. So like, for example, if I were going to look at baseball, we've got first base, we've got a first baseman, second base, we've got center field, outfield, home plate, third base. I mean, pretend I know what the hell I'm talking about, but it's enough to know that if you're assigned to first base catcher, but you're out in the outfield because the ball went that way, but you didn't stay your place, when the ball comes back, you can't strike the other person out because you're not where you're supposed to be. So it's not about proving capacity. It's about proving that you are where you're supposed to be so that you can receive the ball when it comes to you. Otherwise, it looks like you could lose the game with your team just out of lack of alignment. Like, I threw the pitch to you, I threw the ball to you, but you weren't where you're supposed to be. So it's very important to say, I know that you're capable about X, Y, Z, but you're stationed at Z. And if I need you at Y, I'm going to let you know. Not, ooh, I see an opportunity, let me help at Y. Because if you help at Y, who's covering Z? Does that make sense? It's kind of like that old adage, what's on first, who's on second? Nobody freaking knows when I guess it's game over. Even before you play. Will my year turn around? So we did that work style just in case for that person. So now I'm going to do it in personal life. So will my year turn around and get better? So this is now the same question, but through the personal life lens. Okay. There will be quite a few changes this year in your personal life, but they are coming through as hearts, which means you're going to love the change. But you're going to have to love change in order for it to work. You're also going to have new beginnings, but you're also going to need to love new beginnings. And then we have the Eight of Diamonds, which is karma, rock solid of you reap what you sow. So you reap abundance, and you also reap whatever you've sown, positive or negative. This is about realignment, whatever that might mean. So change is definitely inevitable in your personal life, but you're going to love the change. Ace of Hearts is new beginnings. But it's also like a rock solid reap what you sow. But sometimes reap what you sow sounds really, really negative. But you could have been sowing abundance and prosperity and rock solid. So it's just rock solid karma. So if you've been working hard to have positive karma, it's going to be positive. If you've been working hard to have negative karma, it's going to be negative, or it's going to be both. But it doesn't, when you have a diamond rock solid on an 8, It means that there's not anything that can be done. It's a very is what it is, which is good, because if we're talking about financial abundance, that means there's nothing that's going to stand in the way of it. Does that make sense? Good karma, bad karma, positive karma, negative karma, whatever, however that comes across, it's not changeable. It's a fixed fate, which is good, because if this was a bunch of money, like, there isn't anything that's going to keep you from it, in the positive. If it's a fixed reap what you sow, can't get out of that either. So it's a bit of both. But isn't life a bit of both? I mean, honestly, what do my children need from me right now? I try to keep these readings around 15 minutes total, so I'll do a second segment for those of you that didn't get your question answered. But for this recording, I will add, what do my children need from me right now? So let's finish up with this one, and then I'll do another recording. Okay. So when you have cards that fall down like this, it's indicative of the unseen. So it's unseen truths. So these are things that may not be visible to the eye or circumstance. Like, you can totally see what's going on. So they need you to end the way that you do certain things, change the way that you think about fresh starts and new beginnings differently. And in there, you'll have rock solid stability, organization, and structure in your house. So it looks like overall, when I look at this spread, it's almost as if the way that you do things, it's not that it failed, it's not that it's not working, it's almost as if it's just not working anymore. And that's okay. It's as if however you did it served its purpose, but now it's time to almost have closure. Sometimes I'm getting this energy that you may be treating your kids younger than they actually are. It's like they've outgrown that perception. You may be under requiring accountability from them again because of they're just older this year. The energy just feels like they're not little anymore. It's like if they don't want to do the Easter egg hunt, and I'm not saying that's good or bad, that we have to do it differently because they're just older this year. So what worked last year was for the younger version of them, and this year they're ready to level up. If this is a sibling situation, it's important. So like, if you have like I just get this baby sister in my head. No, if they get older and they're still a baby sister, they can still be grown up now. They can do more grown up things. Just because they're the youngest doesn't mean that they're not capable. Because your other child was also that age at one point, being the oldest, and they still had greater accountability and responsibility because they're the oldest and they're the youngest. But eventually when you have a child, even though they're the youngest, but they're at an age appropriate stage that the older was doing older things, well, then it's time to treat them older. They still can be the youngest child that you have, but they don't have to be the baby, and they don't have to be babied in that role just because they were born last or later. Okay. And then I will just do a random one for the collective, not anyone particular. Hopefully that resonates for my Vibe Tribes questions, but can I just have a general piece of advice or wisdom for the collective before I go? Okay, so this is also down. This is down meaning the unknown. Sometimes we have to make changes in our life, but we don't know what actions to take, and that can be hard. So before you make a change, and maybe you need a change in life, you need to kind of think through how you would create that change. Sometimes you have to be open to learning new things, open to seeing things, maybe differently. But if you want real change in your life, You have to take actions. Otherwise, it's just wishful thinking. So make sure that you're not just wanting change or seeking change, that you're seeking the steps that resonate personally for you to actually make those changes possible. And also, some people hate change. But if you don't like what's going on, it's going to require change. Sometimes it's not about patience. It's about changing your way of thinking things, changing your way of doing things, or just embracing change altogether. So anyway, happy Sunday. And next week is, I think, Easter Sunday, which is a beautiful new beginnings energy. So make sure you sign up to be part of this Vibe Tribe. And thank you for the subscribers who posted. And I will do a second video for those that didn't get their questions answered here. Okay, take care, and I hope the rest of your day is good. Bye-bye.